Okay, so the next step in making Lightbringer is going to be scoring this center line. Once we get that lined, it's basically just there to give me a reference point so I can try to keep it as straight as possible, because the line goes all the way down to the very end where I'm going to do a little bit different work than I've done in the past. That's all that's really there for. Once we do that, we'll be able to more accurately gauge where our center is, and hopefully that will give us a good point for reference for when we start grinding that fuller out or in. Glasses. In this step, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut off the very end of the sword itself. It's going to be pretty square. I made the line perpendicular at 90 degrees from that center line that we just marked. My goal, or the reasoning behind that is I've got a lot of cold shuts here on the end, and I don't want that to be in the actual sword itself. So we're going to cut those off, or cut that off right there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut in two 45-degree angles, or it'll make so this be basically an upside-down triangle, like fish lips. And then we are going to, when we get to the next step in the forging processes, we're going to forge weld those together. So that's good. That's the hope anyway. Alright, so the next thing we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and try to get an idea about how far back we want. Now the end that we have here is, let's see here, that's 9 and 11, let's see, 1 and, oops, it went backwards, 1 3/16 inch wide from here to here. So I'm going to go about that far back, 1 3/16 right here. Just kind of give me again a general point to kind of cut to. And then I'm not really super worried about this being a perfect 45-degree angle. Obviously it's not going to be. In fact, I measured it a little while ago, and a 45-degree point would put me right about there, and I didn't think that was going to be quite enough. So we're going to do it like that, and then go ahead and mark where we want to cut. Right about there. Right about there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this whole part out right here. We're going to have the fish lips. This will make for a really nice aesthetic when we go to polish this whole thing out, because instead of the pattern of the grain just going down or tying to the sides, at the point here it will fold in, and it should look like it's coming to a, I don't know, some kind of a, well, obviously it'll be a point, but more so. Okay? So here we go. so I couldn't resist. I had to see if it took, and there's no... This is the other side that has the line, which I expect, and this is the side that didn't have a line, and I ground it all the way down. And if you can see well enough, yeah, you see there's no line at all, which that tells me that the forge weld took. So, let's see what it looks like. Alright, so it might be a little hard to tell. You can see there's a line, there's a forge line right there down the center, and that's fine. I did not expect that. But what you can't quite see, or well, I can't really tell if you can or can't. You can actually see the pattern in the Damascus, and it looks really cool. The 430 some layers, or whatever the heck it was, I don't even remember anymore. You can really see it, and when we go to put the bevels on this, it's going to look really cool. So we're going to mark these pieces at 3 inches, and I'm going to cut 2 of them for the actual foldering piece that will be doing the striking onto the sword itself. One. Two. Hot two. Hey. Okay, so there you get the idea. I'm basically just rounding that over so that when we use this as the fullering piece to create the fuller in the actual sword itself, that I won't have a sharp nick in the actual piece itself. It'll be rounded and it'll line me kind of up for the next spot, so I can hit it, create that space, and then move it right on up and not have to worry about this digging into anything. So, okay, so I've got both my square pieces. This will be the part that goes down into the anvil, the Hardy tool itself, or the Hardy hole itself rather. And as you can see, or maybe you can or cannot, but they've got just a little bit of a concave on the top and the bottom. That doesn't really matter. It's just kind of ugly from the original cut that somebody else did. I cleaned these up a little bit, not much. I'll probably clean a little bit more. But what my plan or my idea is that I will use that concave, set these in there, and try to keep them as straight as possible, and then weld these onto here. Okay. So I've got this one here's the bottom, and this one here is the top, and you can see that it is also sort of concave. Maybe you can. I don't know if you can see this or not, but they're just slightly concave in the bottom, and that's to give the weld a little bit of something extra to grab onto. I also what would you call it? Tapered the end where I'll be hitting, because this will be the end that gets hit a little bit, and rounded it so that it'll last a little bit longer. It won't mushroom as quickly as as badly. Well, it'll still mushroom, but anyway. So let's get to welding and see what we can do with this thing. Not a real welder. This is. I am not. I'm winging it. So all my welder friends who watch this, if I'm doing it wrong, call me. Oh, that's upside down. Too much. Alright, so that's still hot, but that's basically it. Everything's all welded together, and now the only other thing to do now is really kind of test it out. Just to kind of give you an idea, that's going to be the end of this particular video. The next video we're going to go ahead and hammer the fullers in. But how it will basically work, if you haven't already figured it out, is I will essentially get everything. That's what the whole reason I scored this line is that I will get it hot, place it on that score line as best I can, and then give it its fuller, and that's it. So that brings us to the end of another episode of making Lightbringer. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. If you like what you see, definitely hit the subscribe. Please share this with everybody that you possibly can, because Lord knows I could use the subscribers. Remember, just as it's wintertime, although I'm wearing a t-shirt and shorts, doesn't mean you're not dehydrated, so make sure you're drinking the water. Wear your safety equipment at all times, and we'll see you in the next video.